So after 1980, we have massively rising trade deficits as a share of the GDP, rising consistently with each business cycle. And policymakers actually start to see the trade deficit as semi-virtuous because it helps contain inflation, and it's also argued that it reflects the choices of consenting adults in free markets, and that's obviously good for the economy. Another place where we see common features is in patterns of income distribution and income inequality, and I'm sure we're going to hear more about that in a few minutes. There's a complete detachment of wages from productivity growth. There is a massive increase in income inequality, and with regard to profits, we see an increase in the profit share, at least particularly in the Bush period. This was slow to actually happen, the increase in the profit share. It happened a bit later. And we also, over the entire period, see an increase in the share of profits going to the financial sector. Now, economic policy played an absolutely critical role in generating and shaping this new growth model. We essentially installed a new neoliberal paradigm that weakened the position of workers, strengthened the position of corporations, and uncuffed financial markets to serve the interests of financial and business elites. And the new paradigm can be described as a neoliberal box. Essentially, it boxes workers in on all four sides. You have globalization, the abandonment of full employment, the attack on government, that pushes deregulation, and of course you have the labor market flexibility agenda, getting rid of unions, minimum wage supports, unemployment short term. Don't have time to go into all of the details of that. I think it's probably pretty familiar to you, the story. So in a sense, policy was absolutely critical to destroying the earlier virtuous circle growth model. And as I say, what we have now is an alternative model based on debt and asset price inflation and lower saving rates of households. And again, the new model is clearly visible in the statistics. Now, this new model of more debt, asset price inflation, falling saving rates is essentially unsustainable because it relies on squeezing incomes of workers, squeezing household saving rates, raising debt levels, and asset price inflation, and all of these processes are unsustainable. Eventually, if your debt is growing too fast, you hit a debt ceiling. You eventually push the saving rate to zero. Or if you're inflating asset prices, you create an asset bubble that eventually implodes on you. And that's why the neoliberal model was at its root fundamentally unsustainable. Now, the process lasted much, much longer than any of us believed possible. I thought it was going to come apart at the end of in 2000. And I think it lasted longer because of the ability to raise debt limits beyond what we thought was possible, because of the ability to squeeze saving rates lower than we thought they would go.